My mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice is cold. I'm only here to even a score. Whoa. My mind is set, my grind is set, my heart on ice is cold. We down right now, but did it before. Whoa. See from here we going up. Made the call, I shown up. Now the game is sewn up. Say my name is blown up. We up, 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 we up. See from here we going up. Made the call, I shown up. Now the game is sewn up. Say my name is blown up. We up, 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 we up.
What up, Night Nation? It's your boy Roger, and this is episode number 99 of the Night at Ones podcast. And guess what? It's game week. So we're all hyped up. Obviously, I am as well. I'm in Orlando. I'm making a trip to Jacksonville real quickly. I'm going to pop back down for the game. So I'm hoping to see all of you there. As a reminder, we are the only podcast that features a former UCF national champion, a former UCF radio host, an ESPN analyst, and hoops player, an infamous, yes, infamous rapper, our resident influencer and IG star, Shooting the Breeze, talking UCF sports. Remember to like and follow us on YouTube, IG, and check us out and the 70-plus teams and conferences on the College Huddle. This week, we'll be doing a season preview. We'll finally talk about the QBs, although we know who's starting, but does that mean who's staying? We'll talk, do a preview of the game against Jacksonville State. We'll cover the schedule for this year, the SEC changing to a 9-game schedule, what the FPI says about our season, Kansas State and Iowa State, and a bunch of other things. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring the crew to the stage. We've got a full house this week. So super excited about that. First, I'm going to welcome back someone you all know, national champion Trey Neal, and I'm wearing this shirt for you this week, sir.
Everybody, game week. What's up? How you guys?
Hey,
doing?
let's run it back. Let's run it back, right?
I don't know, man. I'm ready. I'm excited.
I doubt it this year, but this is the 2016 run it back year, right?
Hopefully better.
All right. Next, let's go ahead and bring our resident IG star to the stage, someone you all know as UCF Football Updates.
Yo, game week. I'm fired up. Let's go. Even got the new hat.
I know. I saw that. Where's the hair flip?
I thought the listeners would want to see the new hat more than the
hair flip.
You know,
yeah, there it is. Hair flip. As a reminder, folks.
Mids at MCO.
Yeah, there we go. We welcomed a bunch of new subscribers this week, but make sure you're checking out UCF Football Updates. He's got constant IG content going out there. On top of that, let's go ahead and add the tallest man in all of UCF broadcasting, Ben Stout. Welcome back to the stage, my friend.
What's up? What's up? It's good to be back with you guys. I'm so excited for game week. Football season is finally here.
Exactly. Just remember when you go, don't stand up because nobody behind you will be able to see a thing. Next to the stage, someone you all should know from the Nightline days, a good friend of ours and the OG, AP from KC, Andrew Fagley. Welcome back.
How you guys doing? I got the original Scott Frost hat on.
Yeah, man.
The original camo one.
Military Appreciation Week. I remember that.
Yeah,
one.
They begged for this one. I'm never giving it away. It's hard to find.
You. Yeah, that's vintage right there.
This is Anyway.
That's it.
How you guys doing? I'm excited. I'm excited for football in a very, very long time.
You're darn right. We're back, baby.
We're starting the way back. I'm going to temper expectations a little bit with that, right? We're starting. We're on the road.
The vibes are back, as Josh would say.
Yeah. Speaking of Josh, last but not least, but always last except in bowling, Josh Lazar.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
We're doing great, Mr. I didn't win the bowling championship, the Nightline bowling championship.
Nope, did not. It was horrible. It was like the two worst games I had in a very long time. But you know what? It's also Ben's two best or close to in a long time. And you know what? Yeah. I'd rather appreciate and celebrate that than think about myself.
Well, the good news, guys, and the reason we mention all of that is because we are celebrating. This is the week. Not only is it game week, but it's also the week that we're going to be celebrating our 100th episode. So we'll be dropping some content as we celebrated that throughout the week. We'll be dropping some nuggets in there, like Ben's bowling prowess and Josh's lack thereof. And we
need all the rest of you. On my worst day, let's just say that.
All right, excuses. So we'll be doing that this week, but more importantly, we'll finally be starting with the QBs. So Alan, I'm going to hand the mic over to you because this is the position we've kind of been waiting on. Not necessarily because we wanted to wait until a quarterback was named, but just for the fact that we wanted to give it its due. So Alan, start us off with the QBs for this year.
Yeah, as everyone knows, or everyone calls UCF, we finally got our decision on who's going to be QB1, and it's FAU/Marshall transfer Cam Fancher. Not a massive surprise if you've been kind of paying attention to the message boards, the chatter, and all that stuff. Apparently Cam Fancher has taken most of the first team reps. If you've been watching closely, if we were allowed to watch practice, apparently it was obvious that he was going to be QB1 with just the amount of reps he got with the first team and how he looked relative to the other quarterbacks. Maybe didn't necessarily pull away from the start, but always had, I guess somewhat of an edge, since he's gotten here. So he wins the job over Taven Jackson and Ja'Kurri Brown. So I think some fans will react a little unfavorably to it. Probably the least quote unquote sexy name of the group. Not a former 4-star type of player like Ja'Kurri or Taven Jackson, but by far the most experienced. He's played in 34 games over the last 4 seasons. He started in 26. Stats aren't super flashy, but he has had some good stretches, like his final year at FAU when he won the final 5 games of the year. Overall, his TD to interception ratio in his career, that was about 1-to-1. So, again, not the flashiest, but I don't think you can knock, 34 games of experience. So he will be UCF starter. However, I think it's very how it's kind of worded, or I think how I interpret it is he's a starter for week 1. And Roger, you alluded to that. Will we see another quarterback at some point in the season? Feels like there's a little bit of a short leash here with Fancher, and he's going to kind of be evaluated maybe week to week. Obviously, the first 2 games aren't massive tests. So as they get into UNC and then Kansas State in the conference slate, and that's maybe where we'll really see the evaluation there. So before I get into the other QBs, kind of want to talk about with everyone, and what are your thoughts on Fancher starting?
Well, I don't think it was much of a surprise. I thought, early on, we thought Taven might turn it on and be able to, at least compete right at the beginning of when he got here. Unfortunately, Coach said not this week, but the previous week that he just wasn't catching on fast enough, right? So Taven Jackson has all the tools physically. He's physically gifted. He just hasn't been catching up. Then we had Ja'Kurri, and we've been hearing some things about Ja'Kurri and that he's getting better. Coach Frost actually called him out last week. And in this week's interview, he was really, really, really cagey about, when he was asked about who the starting quarterback's going to be, and not just who the starting quarterback's going to be, but for the season. He said it was close throughout. I don't think he was BSing there. I think he was being honest, because he wouldn't have waited until a week before the season to name it. There were folks like Brandon Hellwig, if you don't know him, from UCFsports.com, great guy. A lot of us met on there. He was saying that it was known pretty much for the past 2 weeks that was the case, but it wasn't made official. The news dropped nationally before it was announced here at UCF. When you look at Taven Jackson, the things that I see from him is the one thing everybody keeps saying, and what was said about practices, was he knows how to control the offense. And that's something that's going to be super important. Scott Frost also made it clear when he was asked, hey, are we going to see multiple quarterbacks play in the game? At first he said, Cam's our starting quarterback. And then he kind of hedged a little bit and said, kind of bounced around that conversation. But then he said, but we may have a plan for that. So what I expect for Cam Fancher in this game, Cam Fancher is the starting quarterback now. We'll see what Taven Jackson does throughout the season. We'll see what Cam Fancher does when we have better competition. And a lot of that, to Scott Frost's point, was you can see what you can see in the practice, but practice is practice until you're under the lights, until you're being chased by a defensive end, from North Carolina or somewhere else. We don't know what we have. But Cam Fancher is the one that knows the offense the best. He has been the most consistent in practice, and he's also put the ball where it needs to be. The big thing that Coach keeps talking about, though, is turnovers. So I'm a little worried about where we're going with turnovers. He's 6'2", over 200 pounds, so he should be durable enough. He's got a decent arm, but he's not as mobile as the other two. So as far as options are concerned, would you rather, from an athletic perspective, have someone more dynamic in the pocket? Yes, but I think what we're trading here is athleticism for experience, and by extension, experience, the ability to understand the offense. And I think that's what Scott's looking for, whether he's buying time or whether this is the guy that we're going to ride throughout the season. So that's what I think about Cam Fancher. I don't think this is locked in any way. I think he is the starting quarterback and it's his to lose, but I think it's a lot closer than most people expect.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is always the safest option. I think this was the, week one, year one, well, technically year three, but year one back, with Coach Frost. You want to be functional at minimum. You don't want to come back and it's just discombobulation. It's just chaos. You want to be, there's a little bit of that. I want to, bring back what I had. It might not look exactly what it looks like, but I want to have a good offense. So I think Cam gave him the best option early on, and, being able to run the offense, just get the playmakers the hand. We've talked about it for years, the guys in the room and what kind of playmakers we have. Just get somebody to get him the ball. So I think he was the safest option. And I think for the first 2 weeks, I think he's going to be the one to help us move the football, help us just let the offense be smooth. Now, does that mean by week 4, 5, 6, when we get into the meat and potatoes of the season, he's still that guy? Maybe, maybe not. Just because of the talent. I mean, Ja'Kurrie Brown is extremely talented. Taven Jackson was brought in. He's talented, and sometimes you're talking about not picking up the offense. Sometimes they need to see it live, not against the defense, not against the guys they've seen all camp. They need to see it kind of how the offense is going to get called in real game situations. And then sometimes it clicks, game 3, game 4 for them. And sometimes it clicks just with more practice reps. You're talking, we don't play really, truthfully, a team that should equal us talent-wise, in my opinion, until we get to UNC, which that's a month from now. That's 3 more weeks, 4 more weeks of reps. So I don't know. I think Cam is the right guy right now. I don't know if Cam will be the right guy in 8 weeks. I don't know if Cam will be the right guy in 3 weeks. But I think right now, at this moment, he's the right guy.
And he has a 60% completion percentage, which Ja'Kurrie last year was 52, right? So obviously a lot fewer snaps, but the ability to put the ball in play more consistently, I think that's what you're seeing. I think Taven Jackson athletically, I think if Scott Frost had his druthers, he would be the guy that's starting. Unfortunately, he's just not showing it in practice to be that guy. So for Cam Fancher, I don't mean to say he's the default guy, but I think he is the default guy because he's the safest choice right now. And that's really what we're seeing. And that's why it took so long for us to get to this point where someone actually said, hey, Cam Fancher is our starter. So I agree with you, Trey, on that part. I like the fact that you said right now, because I think this decision was made for right now. Boys, anybody else want to jump in?
I'm happy that we, obviously he is a transfer and I understand that. But I'm happy that Coach Frost made a decision based on what he saw with his own eyes, and didn't try to force the highest profile transfer that has to get the job. Obviously, I mean, that was a huge killer for us last year. It's like we heard all of these stories that wound up being true, by the way, that our starting quarterback, our big time transfer, everybody was super excited about him. He came in overweight. He wasn't in shape. He wasn't getting the offense. He was wasn't doing what he needed to do, and yet we still rolled him out anyways because it was just a blind trust that we're gonna, the highest paid guy is gonna get all this opportunity, even though he didn't really earn it. Might have earned it before UCF, but not while he was here. And I think that this is reflective of. I think Cam Fancher was brought in to UCF because McKenzie Milton and Scott Frost saw something, special that in him, as far as, and I think it was you that Roger that said it, like that he can run this offense really efficiently. I mean, I'm just looking over at some of his highlights over here on YouTube, and it's just, I mean, he does have a lot of, presence in the pocket, but he is a good scrambler. I mean, he may not be as athletic as the other two you mentioned, but I mean, neither was KZ, and I'm not comparing him to KZ. I'm just saying that KZ was quick and he was smart with the way he scrambled. He wasn't the fastest player on the field. He wasn't the like blow you away athletic wise, but he got the job done, and he made good decisions when he needed to. I mean, I'd like to see some of the interceptions in his career be cut down a little bit. That worries me a little bit, but everything you hear about Cam Fancher, his leadership, he kind of stepped in quickly, his ability to pick up the offense quickly. I think that one of the reasons why that's the case is because it seemed to be, you guys know better than me, the football minds in the room, but it just seems to be the offenses that he's run are, I don't want to call them like super similar to Scott Frost, but they remind you of some of the ways that the UCF Scott Frost offense was run in his 2 years here prior. So I think he was able to just, grab a hold of this job. And I understand why we're saying that, it might be his for now, and that might wind up being true. But I mean, if he takes advantage of this opportunity that he has earned, if he takes advantage of the opportunity that he has earned, not given, he hasn't been given this opportunity. He has earned this opportunity, and he takes advantage of it in these first few games. I would not be surprised if he is our long-term starter.
Well, I will say this, a couple things. One, the offense, it's not just the QB situation that is, in question. You've got the offensive line that's been in flux. You've got the wide receivers that have
receivers for sure.
They're brand new, right? Everyone's brand new, doesn't have a whole lot of experience. So having someone who can consistently deliver the ball where it needs to go and, avoid turnovers, you're not going to get help from your wide receivers. We don't have the wide receiver core that we had before, not because it's athletic. It's not athletic enough, but because it hasn't had enough seasoning yet for those guys to make those kind of moves on the field that help the quarterback out when they need it, right? Those instincts aren't there yet. The other part about this is you mentioned the interceptions. Yeah, that's the one thing that worries me about him. He did average 7.2 yards per attempt. I'd like to see 10 or 11 yards per attempt for someone who's a pass-first quarterback. But 7.2, he has increased year over year. So, he's got enough of an arm. His mechanics are okay if you watch him. They're not world beaters, but they're good. He plants his feet properly, gets his shoulders where they need to go, squares his shoulders, and lets the ball go where he
gets the ball out quick, too. I mean,
he does. He has a quick release.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, again, I think what we're going for is we all understand that our defensive line this year is going to be a strength. We know that our defensive backs are going to be a strength. Our linebackers seem to be shaping up to be a strength. So our defense is going to be really, really good this year. We have a good running attack outside of Tavion Swint, who's going to be missing for more of the season. We knew he was going to be out this game, and Caden Peening on offense. The rest of the team is there. We've got Miles Montgomery. We've got great running backs. So what you're going to see, in my opinion, the number of attempts that he had last season, Cam Fancher, you're going to see more of a running attack. You're going to see us lean on the defense, and you're going to see him in passing situations that are designed for him to make it easier for the wide receivers and also for him to be able to, pick where he needs to go and pick his poison. It's not going to be as complicated as it was in 2017. It's just not. They didn't have the time. They don't have the other teammates around him yet to get there, but he's the safe choice on a side of the ball that really has a lot of moving pieces and hasn't played together yet. And so without being able to lean on them, you go with the safe choice. And I think that's what this was.
I'll just say that I was a little bit surprised. I honestly thought that from everything that I had heard, and like Jacurri was getting so much better. So I was kind of expecting to hear his name. I hope that we get to see him. Hopefully we score like 60 something points and they put him in at the end of the game, so we get to see him throw a little bit. I mean, Cam Flancher, I've watched his tape and he looks awesome, but that's highlights. You're not seeing all the bad plays. I'd love to. I never have gone back and tried to find an FAU.
Coach O'Leary's favorite saying was he's never seen a bad highlight tape.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind
what
of
I always say is there's no miss in the basketball side. I always say there's no missed layups in a highlight reel.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. That Trey, that's exactly what I was trying to say. But it is what it is. Let's just do it. I'm excited to just get it going. So I can't wait till Thursday. I'll actually be home. I'm in Pittsburgh for working. Pittsburgh, by the way, not a good town.
Wow. Yeah, I agree. The Steelers don't like the Steelers, don't like the Pirates. I'm just saying.
It's sketchy. It's sketchy downtown. I went to CVS and was scared multiple times in the daylight. It's not good.
Josh, did you have anything else you wanted to say about QBs?
I mean, we're 450 hours in, so how much more can we say? Look, I agree with almost all of you. This is a safe bet. I think that this is the most likely outcome that's going to cause the least amount of friction, unless there was a starting bonus for someone who is not even the person we're talking about that got paid a lot to be here.
To your point and to Ben's point earlier, right? Taven Jackson is the highest paid QB on our roster right now. I mean, he is. And what Frost said in his interview today, his pregame presser, he said that he feels blessed that unlike other places, we have supportive people that don't come to him and say, why is my guy not playing? He said
he did say
yeah. And he was kind of the way he said it when he said it was very that's a sore point for him. And I think Nebraska obviously was a big reason for that, right? But what he said was he liked that he could pick the players that he thought were going to be the best players on the field at the time without having influence from boosters. And that's super important. I'm sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you said that, right?
No.
David Jackson is the highest paid quarterback in the roster right now.
And I feel like going all the way back to Trey, I think no one knows what's going to happen in that next 3 weeks time, a couple games and a bye week. We might have someone new at UNC, maybe not. I mean, all we want as fans, and I would say I want as a fan, is to see someone consistent, someone who isn't going to break at the sign of slight failure or resistance, individually and as a team, and someone to just take charge. And obviously, Cam is the man.
Cam's the man. All right.
Cam's the man.
With the master plan.
The man. All right. Alan, what about the other QBs? Obviously we're going to focus on the guy who's starting, but who else is in? What else do you want to say about the other QBs? All right, Alan.
Hear me?
Yep,
Can you hear
I
me?
can now. Go for it.
So I was saying just that Jacurri Brown looks like he's going to be listed as QB2 or, the backup quarterback to Fancher for now. And then Taven Jackson at QB3. I mean, you guys kind of just all talked about both of them. We've talked about all three of the quarterbacks a lot at this point. So, Jacurri is really the only, returning quarterback on the roster. So not much more to say about them. And then obviously, I guess a fourth quarterback that we do have on the roster is Davi Belfort, who's Vitor Belfort's son, transferred over from Virginia Tech late there in the transfer cycle. He redshirted his only college season there in Blacksburg, but we'll see. I mean, he was also kind of a big recruit out of high school, down here from South Florida, played in Fort Lauderdale, and a 4-star guy. So I think, he's looking at probably kind of another red shirt type season. But there's probably going to be some transfers after this year. So, we'll see what happens. And then UCF doesn't really have any, has no freshman QBs or anyone that's part of the high school class from this past high school class that's on the roster. They do have 2 going into the 2026 recruiting class, but as of now, those are the 4 guys. And then I think they do have the walk-on that's been on the team for a couple of years. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but so yeah, I mean, that's kind of the QB situation. So now it's kind of sorted out in terms of what it's going to look like for week 1. But we'll, as everyone said, we'll see, what happens in the ensuing weeks.
Well, you always say, what's our overall grade at the QB position? So I'm just going to say C for me, because it's like everything, but nothing we've said is, hey, this guy jumps out at me, he's going to make a difference. What we're looking for is a game manager that's going to be able to put us in position, especially when the defense steps up and steps out for us, and hopefully creates turnovers, puts a lot of pressure and gets the ball in our hands, and allows our running backs, creates enough room and creates enough options for our running backs to really do some damage. It's all about balance. Back when I did this before, and Andrew will remember this, when KZ was around the first time, we looked at the percentage stats for how balanced the offense actually was under Scott Frost. We did much better when our offense was, I think it was 55-45 split running versus passing, versus when we went 2 pass heavy or 2 run heavy. So I expect there to be a balance. The quarterback and the quarterback position at this point with Cam Fancher is, can I throw the ball enough times, or can I squirt out of the pocket enough times to keep people honest to allow our running game to thrive? And I think that's really what we're looking for. And maybe some take it off the top kind of passes where we're catching the defense sleeping because we've shown them the same look a few times. And Scott Frost is famous for that, right? When he was here the first time, he's going to show you the same look. He'll show it to you in the first half a couple times, and he'll show you in the third quarter, and it'll be a completely different play. They're going to a pass over the top. All of a sudden, your DBs are sleeping because they've seen this 2 other times, and now you've got to score. So that's really what I'm looking for there. And for me, that again, I can't say anything but grading it as a C, because there's not high expectations. They're not the difference maker. It's just the person that's going to manage the offense.
So this is a preseason grade, obviously. I mean,
yeah, obviously.
It to be hopefully it's not a C in the end. I mean,
let me ask you, Roger. You think you would grade it a C? And I agree with you, by the way. Like, just a C, because we don't know. Like, I guess it's a little bit unknown. It's almost like you want to grade it an I, because you're just like, how is this actually going to go? But if Taven Jackson emerged like super early out of like fall camp, and he won the job, and he had all this momentum going into the season, you think you would think differently about that grade?
I think so.
Yeah,
you're asking
you're looking for the more athletic, guy that you see as more of an upside.
Well, yeah. I think what I'm looking for and what I'm grading there is, when you look at Jacurri Brown, he was a 4-star quarterback that came out of. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. He has a rocket of an arm. He has the ability to run, and he's big enough to be durable. He just isn't accurate. And last season, he didn't know the offense, and I blame Gus completely on that. The reason you heard Scott Frost, and to Andrew's point, the reason you heard Scott Frost talk about Jacurri Brown, it wasn't even just the people behind the scenes. Scott Frost praising him on how much he's come along since spring, let alone the fact he said, I wish I had him 3 or 4 years. I do think that Jacurri was underdeveloped, not just under Gus, but also at Miami. And yeah, so, he just didn't get the attention that he needed to thrive. So unfortunately for Jacuri, I think if he had another season or so to do that, he'd be in a much better position. And even if he doesn't make a big impact this season, is he a junior or senior? I can't remember.
I'll double
I
check.
don't remember, but I hope we see both of them. To be honest,
He's got one more year left after this year.
Yeah, so he might have his opportunity next year because we've got Kane Archer coming in and the other quarterback that's a 4-star quarterback that are the quarterbacks for the future. He may be that bridge quarterback for us next year. I hope that he continues to develop. He gets some opportunities. But to your point, Ben, if Taven Jackson had stepped up to his potential, because he has athleticism. I think he has more athleticism than what Jacuri does. Jacuri can just bowl you over. He's just a big body. Taven Jackson is more dynamic. Unfortunately, Taven Jackson hasn't stepped up yet. If he was, and he was showing good things in practice with his athleticism, yes, that would be a much higher grade. But it's not where it is right now. And I don't know.
Those guys catch the ball. Do we know that? Like,
I don't know.
Might want a wide receiver in one of them or something.
Maybe a tight end, 6'4", 220.
You never know. Yeah, Taven Jackson looked huge in that picture. Did you see the picture of the whole team together? They posted it.
No.
Taven Jackson looked absolutely like a monster in that picture.
I mean, I think if you look at this, like C is to me by far like as high as I'd be willing to go. I think you could even go less. I mean, if you just compare this to, I know it's easier to look in the past, but like if you just look at recent QB rooms or recent QB battles, I mean, even if you go back to like JRP, Mikey Keene battle, who neither quarterback we were like overly enthused or super excited about. When you look at that though, those two were still like significantly kind of better and just more experienced than most of these guys. We look at Mikey Keene, who's coming off, a win against Florida and started pretty much the whole season going from week 3 that previous year. And then JRP, there's all these highlights of him carving up like LSU and all these guys. And he started 12 games for Ole Miss. I mean, so you look at that compared to what we have now, like, I don't know, this is just nowhere near like that exciting. And I know it can change on a dime, but like, I don't know, this is definitely one of the weaker. And then when you talk about not even having like a freshman prospect, like you can always look at that, like, oh, there's EJ Colston. Oh, there's, whomever, Riley Trujillo, someone we haven't seen play yet, where you at least have that hope that's there. This doesn't feel anywhere near, at least depth wise or excitement wise, as any year that I can remember in a long time.
Well, I can tell you,
different time though as well. You're not going to see as many freshman guys ever get developed anymore. Ever.
No, you're not going to see them develop. You still might have them on the team.
Well, developed at one university. They'll be developed, and if they're good, they will go elsewhere and
developed
get
by a coach, though. By the coach the entire time. You're just not going to see
fair.
Well, and JRP, to your point, he was at Ole Miss for 12 games, but he didn't start at quarterback for 12 games. He only started at quarterback like 3 games, and then he played wide receiver the rest of the time.
No, I think he started his whole freshman season at quarterback. Then he went to wide receiver the following. So he was there for like 2 years, and he was a full-time quarterback started that first year. Then they transitioned him over wide receiver when what's his name came in, that guy that was he was pretty good for a while. Matt something, I can't remember. But he was a starter at QB the whole season.
Matt Corral,
that's it, right? Yeah, look at his highlights. Then you got him all season long. Then he turned to wide receiver.
Yeah, it was mostly a runner, similar to what he was.
Oh, he was definitely a running quarterback for sure. But when you see him get 4 TDs on the ground over like 100 yards against that LSU team that won the Natty,
that was crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know, man. For me, I just feel like when I looked at him. He was a freshman QB. He had 79 or 150 attempts his first year. So I don't know if that's 12 seasons worth of attempts. If you're talking about 25 attempts per, I think that's only four games. Well, if you pass 20 to 25 times per game, he's 150. So
I'm just saying, who was the starting QB that whole season, that regardless if he threw the ball or not, he was the guy under center.
Well, we don't need to rehash the JRP. We'll talk about the camp. I agree with you, though.
So at the end of the day, he might have a little bit more experience than what some of the others did, right? John Rice Plumlee did, but I think that his athleticism outshone some of what we have. A proven athleticism has outshone what we've seen out of the rest of the quarterback room right now. Again, operative term being right now. If Ja'Cory Brown had another year under Scott Frost, I think we'd be having a different conversation, right? Same way with Taven Jackson. I mean, he's been to 3 different schools in 3 different years. It's not like he's had time to develop. He played a little bit in Indiana, did well there, but he got passed up there. So again, new system, new coaching staff, new place that you're going. You do that every 3 years. I think the statistic we threw out a few weeks ago is that the starting quarterbacks for NCAA football teams, the most successful ones are 60% more likely to be successful if they've only transferred once. So 2 schools, not 3, right? So there's a reason
if you didn't transfer at all. It'd be amazing.
I know, but then your pocketbook would be a little bit lighter. But it makes a difference, right? You're going to 3 new systems. You only have spring or whatever to learn a brand new system. Guys cannot integrate themselves into a system and learn their wide receivers, etc. Fast enough for that. I mean, who was the FSU quarterback? Since we're talking about people getting paid, what was his name? Ben
DJU.
Yeah, DJU.
Yeah. DJU, right? You saw what he did the previous year. He went to FSU and he bombed, right? It's not that he wasn't talented. He just wasn't in the system, and they kept him in there because they had to contractually. We don't have that problem. Cam Fancher right now is the leader of the football team. He's going to be for probably the next 2 or 3 games, unless either A, he completely stinks it up, or B, someone else steps up and steps out. So, I will say this, and we'll talk about this when we get into the game. The one thing about Jacksonville State, they had a successful football team last year. They lost most of their offense, including their quarterback, but they kept their defense. And what their defense was really, really good at was turnovers. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays into this week's game. All right. I know that, Alan, you wanted to talk about special teams a little.
We don't have to. We could just pass if we want to go into.
Wow!
No, I mean,
Man,
if
they
we
always
feel like
get
we're running out of time, I'm saying I don't want to hold it up. If we have a game preview, a little bit more important.
Can you
go
do
five
like a
really
YouTube short? Can you do like a short in like 2 minutes or less?
Yeah. So basically, the entire special teams from last year is completely gone. The long snapper, the kicker, and the punter, both kickers from last year, completely gone. So it is completely built on transfers quickly. The Mitch McCarthy is gone at punter. So he gets replaced by Anthony Veneri, who played at Ohio State last year, actually redshirted the entire season. So didn't play, but prior to that played at Buffalo for 2 seasons. So he'll be the starting punter. The kicker that is replacing both Boomer, or it's replacing, I guess, Colton Boomer from last year, is No Rulas, and I guess we're also replacing Grant Reddick in a sense. No Rulas from James Madison, pretty solid 80% kicker on his career. Last year, I think he hit a career high in field goals. I believe it was 17 of 20. Was perfect from extra points and was pretty solid from deep. I think he hit around 80% from 40 plus yards. So seems to be good, experienced guy. He's played 3 years, so should be pretty solid. And then at long snapper, we have Dalton Riggs, who transferred in from BYU, who, funny enough, I think was named like special teams conference player of the week when BYU played UCF last year. So we get him in, and that's pretty much those 3 specialists. Then kick return, punt return, Jaden Nixon has, our running back has said that he can actually return kicks, so he could be an option. There's a couple DBs in the running for kick return and punt return. So really an entirely new, group of guys here, but new coach as well.
That's exactly what I was saying. Exactly. So
yeah, and he looks to be good, a veteran guy, has a lot of experience. So I think not many people in UCF world liked our most recent special teams coordinator. So I think we made upgrades across the board, and I think we needed a new kickers in general. It's been cursed for a little while now. It feels like ever since after Boomer's freshman year. So I think it's going to improve a lot this year. Actually, I think one of the biggest room for improvements is special teams.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he did have an injury, right?
No, he did. Yeah.
Boomer did, and it derailed his. I mean, for lack of trying, but like last season, we lost games because we couldn't kick a field goal I think there was one he missed from like 30 yards out or something like that, right?
Yeah,
So
Reddick wasn't too strong.
yeah. Too much, not too many kicking bombs and kissing moms, I guess. I don't know. He got injured. He transferred out, and from all accounts, from what I've been hearing, is that both the punter and our kicker for place kicking, Noah, or is it Noah? No,
I think it's
I don't know. N-O-E, so I don't know.
yeah, no. Okay, I'm just gonna say no to that.
I like it. I like it. It almost sounds like no rules.
Yeah, it does actually.
There are no rules.
No
There
rules.
are no rules. So anyway, both of them seem to be doing really, really well. And again, I have a lot more confidence in the coach that we have. To your point, Alan, not only is he experienced, but he's well thought of within college football and is known as a specialist for special teams. So I'm excited about that. If we can kick a 45 or a 40-yard field goal, I'll be consistently. I'll be happy because we lost games because of it. We went for plays we shouldn't have because of it, and we became one-dimensional because of it, because nobody had to fear us. So that messes with the entire strategy of a game, especially in close games, which we lost a lot of last year.
That's Pete Alamar, by the way, is the name of the coach that we're referencing.
Yes.
So listen.
Special Pete. That's what his nickname is, Special Pete. All right. Let's go ahead and swiv it to Alan's point. Swiv it. There it is. To UCF.
No AP.
Yeah. Versus AP's like, I can't believe you just said that. That's
I'm
okay.
shaking my head.
He's shaking his head. Old man yells at cloud. All right. So
it was pivot, and now it's swivot. Is that what
yeah, it was pivot. It is now swivel.
Oh boy,
it's evolving.
There's three people complained about it, AP. We invented a word.
Yeah, we invented a word. We made it our own. So
we can hashtag it.
Oh,
all right, UCF versus Jack State. Let's talk a little bit about that. Jack State has actually been playing football since the 1900s, early 1900s. I don't know if people realize that they've had a football program for that long. That we have never played Jacksonville State in football in our entire history. I don't know. We've played. I think it's up to 75% of FBS at this point. We have one of the highest percentages of being in conferences with other teams, but also playing other teams. And so we're going to add another one to the list. UCF is
Jacksonville, South Carolina, right? Is that correct?
Yes. No, Jacksonville, Alabama.
Right.
Oh, Alabama.
Yeah.
I thought it was Gamecocks. I figured it was the same.
No.
I figured it was
Calhoun County, Alabama.
Oh boy.
Yeah, wherever that is. All right. So as many times
of Alabama, basically.
Listen, as many times as I've been to Montgomery and Auburn and everywhere for business there, I have no idea where that is. All right. That being said, we are favored plus 19, so it'll be interesting to see how many points we do put up on them. Again, their offense is brand new, including their quarterback, who they have a transfer quarterback that came from went to Rutgers first. He's from New Jersey, then went to Kentucky. Actually, highly touted prospect. His name is Gavin Wimsatt. They've got a new head coach, a new offense going in, which means we have no tape on these guys. What Scott Frost said he did was he looked at some of the previous stops where people were to, kind of take a look and see what the offense was like. But the offense is not really what is going to be difficult, for lack of a better term, because we have a offense that's just finding its footing, and we're playing against a defense that's known for turnovers. That's the one thing that I'm a little concerned about that could stop the offensive flow and get those practices in, is the turnovers, which is, I think, part of the reason why Cam's there as well. Caden, there's only a 15% chance of rain, knock on wood. It is Florida.
Why
and
did you say
it's been
that?
raining every single day.
At what hour is that?
Yeah,
that's fair.
All day. It's 15, but it is game time. So we'll say that. But hopefully,
I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have another Boise situation where we had to wait out a lightning storm. But there's only a 15% chance of rain, so that's good. Caden Peening, as I mentioned before, and Tavion Swint are the biggest names that will be out for this game. Most of the rest of the team will be available. And as far as, Jacksonville State, again, offensively, I'm not expecting much out of them. Defensively, they're going to give our quarterback some looks that's going to try to confuse them. They were a good team last year. Consistently, Jacksonville State in their division has played really, really well. They're averaging 8 wins per season. This is a rebuilding year for them. It's a rebuilding year for us. And I think we just, unfortunately for them, out-athlete them when it comes to that. So other than that, FPI is expecting us to win 89% chance of winning. But as Andrew and I have learned over the years, FPI after Scott Frost left in 2017 and Josh Heupel had his 2018 season, is not very trustworthy, to say the least. All right. Anything else you guys want to add to the game preview from your seats?
Oh, I know Jacksonville State got some former transfers from some bigger time programs, especially on offense. I don't know, again, kind of the situation we're going in. New offense, new system. How well will they look week 1 with that versus, that talent showing maybe week 6 or 7? So I know they're talented. I just don't know if they're going to be able to put it together week 1 on the road, with a new coach. Same thing kind of what we're doing. At least we're at the comfort of being at home. The guys will be in that kind of routine already. So we'll see. I think they're talented. I mean, they have some former P4 type guys that are now there for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Their quarterback is definitely a running quarterback. So our linebackers are going to need to be on their P's and Q's. Our edge needs to make sure that they contain because he is a running quarterback. The guy's 6'3". His average completion percentage over the past 4 seasons that he's played. He started in 2021. It was 42.9. 2022 was 44.8. These were at Rutgers. Then 47.8. And then Kentucky last year, he had a completion percentage of 41%. There was only one season where he had more TDs than he had interceptions. So again,
41% was it?
41% completion percentage. Yes.
Okay.
So Scott Frost spoke really highly of him in his press conference. I think it was today, the one that I saw. He called him like a physical specimen.
As long as he didn't call him a real football player or a real dude.
That's a real
dude. Yeah. Am I the only one that's excited about Scott Frost running offense? Remember how crazy we talked about the quarterback, and I know you guys did all kinds of player, group.
We did the running back
on previous shows, but I am so excited to see the running game. The running game was so exciting. The last time that Scott Frost was here with Otis Anderson and Adrian Killins and all those guys. I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to Miles Montgomery running for us, being the guy, and I can't wait. I just wanted to say that. I guess.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say about that.
I will tell you from the running back situation, what I'm looking for is Scott Frost's offense, and I think we have the depth to do it. Right, and we talked about this during the running back. Is a 2-back set. If we can get a 2-back set, 21 personnel versus 11 personnel, 21 personnel, our success rate in 2016 and 2017, because I used to do a spreadsheet. Andrew knows I over prepared for all of that stuff, but I had a spreadsheet that I did, and I would look at the percentages of the success rate of the running game in the scheme when we had a 2-back set versus 21 personnel versus 11 personnel. Our success rate was over 68% higher, meaning we put more yards on the board. Now, we didn't always run 2-back sets. We ran more 11 personnel than we did 21 personnel. But when we did run 21 personnel, we were 68% more successful and got more yards than we did with the single back set. So, when you've got
excited to see more than 4 plays. I mean,
the
the last three or two coaches we've had at the end of their tenure anyway, there was like 4 plays. So
well, I think what I want to see, and this is something that one of the questions I was going to ask on this of you guys is, what do you want to see out of this game, and what do we expect to see out of this game? Because for me, it's a harbinger of the future, right? We're not going to see everything because it's Jack State. It's going to be more of a vanilla offense, right? We're playing Jack State. We've got UNC on the horizon. This is going to be more about fundamental basics of football. We're not going to see everything. But I do want to see us, if we see a couple of two-back set plays, if we see some guys, some space being created in the middle of the field, or more bubble screens or things like that. We played that at times under Gus, but sparingly, right? But being able to leverage more receivers than just one or two, the Javad Baker, go route that went down the left and everybody knew it was going to him if we were going to throw it. I'd like to see a route tree that is more complicated, and the ability to use the tight ends a little bit more as well. So that's what I want to see. I want to see if we've got the 21 personnel going. I want to see if we're using the middle of the field, if we're using more bubble screens, if we're creating space, because we have.
That's what Scott Frost does, is create space.
Exactly.
He gets his players in space. So you're going to see that for sure.
Yeah, I think
but fundamentally is the biggest thing. Like, you want to see these guys hold on to the ball. You want to see them, make some yards after catches and runs and continue and play hard. That's what I want to see more than anything. I want to see who's going to play hard and who's not going to play hard. Even down to it's kind of like these games are almost like preseason NFL games in a way. These first couple of games, it's just to kind of see where you're at. I mean, they've played scrimmages, but this team hasn't seen anything. They haven't, had
no
any
adversity.
Real. What's that?
No adversity yet.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the word that I was looking for.
Yeah,
they haven't faced that as a team together, and Scott Frost said something about that today too. That's huge in team building. Trey and anybody, all y'all that have played, sports know that. Until that stuff happens, you don't know what you got. So,
yeah, I definitely think we're going to see it. I mean, for those of us like truly, paying attention, we're going to see flashes of what you're looking for there, Roger, like as far as, some of those things. But obviously we know it's going to be rather dumbed down because we're not trying to show too much. I'm not trying to give so much credit that we actually have, so much installed yet on our offense. But by the same token, even if we do, we're probably not going to show much against Jacksonville State. So I will say, though, from as AP mentioned, like from a fundamental standpoint, but something I really do want to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing on Thursday night, is I want to see our defensive line dominate their offensive line. I want to see that. And if I don't see that, I'm going to be a little surprised.
Both lines. I'm going to be
a little surprised. Yeah, I definitely want to see both lines dominate, but certainly with all of the attention and hype on the defensive side of the ball around all of us agree it's the defensive line is probably the most highly anticipated, unit on this team that we're excited to see as far as grades go or whatever, potential, whatever you want to call it. But
yeah,
I want to see our defensive line dominate their offensive line. And that's up and down the field. You're saying that, this guy's a running quarterback, Gavin Wimsatt. Like, I want to see him running for his life all night. That's what I want to see on Thursday night. I'm most excited to see us, regardless of the amount of transfers that we have, really kind of flex our Big 12 muscle against teams like this. When we would have these, kind of preseason opportunities in the past where we're playing a lesser than team at the beginning of the year, especially during the Frost and Heupel era, we were just looking to see like how many points can we score? Like how like can we go for 90? Like, we were excited about that kind of stuff. And I'm excited to see, that potential if we see it on Thursday night. But I think when we go up against these teams now, I want to see as we progress as a program, like us be able to like really show our depth and our our strength in our biggest parts of the team, which in this case is the defensive line. So I want to see the defensive line just dominate on Thursday night.
Yeah. So for me, keys to the game, we did this last season and previously, right? I want to see no turnovers. That's what I want to see. I want to see how clean can we execute, right? I want to make sure that our quarterback is looking in the right spots and we don't have any easy picks. I want to see that we're holding on to the football because that was a problem in practice, right? Offensively, I want to see if we have the two-back set. I want to see if we're using the middle of the field a little bit more and having bubble screens. O-line performance. I'm very interested to see how our O-line does. Are they moving in unison when they're blitzed? Are they able to pick up the blitz? Can they adjust, or are they letting guys come through clean, right? If they end up doing that, then that's going to be a big problem for us in the Big 12. So I want to see what the O-line performance is going to be. Paul Rubelt will be at right tackle. Scott Frost said today he's not going to move him because of a left-handed quarterback. Typically, you put your right tackle is going to be the strength for your pass pro. So you would think that they would move him to left tackle, but they're going to leave the O-line as it is, which tells me that there's going to be other quarterbacks or expected to be other quarterbacks that are going to be coming in because Cam Fancher is left-handed. I want to see no penalties, especially when we go fast. One of the things that Scott mentioned in the scrimmages was that we were seeing penalties because the guys were being lazy getting back to the line. And so that's got to be something we have to tighten up. Even if we don't go fast all the time, we need to be able to go fast, and they need to take this time to practice that. So if we can do that successfully, that's good for the O-line, and it's also good for the rest of the team because we're going to need that speed when we want to bash the throttle. And then lastly, wide receivers. How well are the guys that are inexperienced running their routes, right? Trey and Trey, I expect you to look at this, and if you want to yell at a cloud next week, that would be the thing that I would want you to look for to potentially yell at a cloud, is how well are those wide receivers reacting and playing against these DBs? Are they maintaining? Are they doing their double moves? Are they what does their footwork look like? Are they clean on their breaks? Like those kinds of things I want to see out of the wide receivers because, again, they're athletically gifted, but they're very, very inexperienced. If we see those things, that gives us 2 to 3 weeks to get ready, or 2.5 weeks to get ready for UNC. And that's going to tell us a little bit more about what we have raw. And so for me, it's not about keys to the game to win. It's keys to the game to tell us where we are as a barometer for this team. You're not going to see everything, but you can see the details in the O-line's performance, in the penalties, and then and the turnovers. Those are the 3 big things that I want to see out of this team. If we play a clean game, we can minimize the penalties, especially when we go fast. And if our O-line doesn't seem to be leaky and they're supporting each other well, then I feel much better about the season. So those are the keys to the game for me. What do you guys think?
Agree.
All right.
I mean, for me, it's
Pretty much
just,
said it.
You want to have I think Andrew and Ben talked about it too. Like the fundamentals are the most important early because this is the first time they're going to play a real 60 minutes. Like, yeah, they had the scrimmages, but those are so controlled and it's a lot of situation-based scrimmages. And then you get the 2s in there and then sometimes the 3. Like, you don't really get that rest on Saturday. Well, Thursday. You're not going to get that real rest. If you're the ones, for the most part, the ones are getting all the reps. Defense is going to go out there. Ones are coming back on. Like, it's not going to be that rotation. So, one, conditioning for me. Like, I want to see – I know the conditioning we did under Coach Duval. We were in peak shape. That's why we could play 100-plus snaps. And then you get to Memphis, we could play 140 and still be at a high level. Not at our peak, but at a high level. I want to see that. And then – like you guys mentioned, the fundamentals. Are you tackling correctly? Are you blocking correctly? Are you catching the ball? Are you running the right routes? Those are the things that when we get into the middle of the season, when guys are banged up, guys that are on 100%, you fall back on. And especially in the fourth quarter, I mean, how many times did we talk about when we had adversity, everything changed? You know, our play changed. We were great when we were winning. I mean, we always said that. We're a great, front-running team. When we're up, we're really good. But when adversity hits, you guys talked about it, how do we respond? And that was huge for Coach Frost, even the 2016, 2017, like both of those years, how we responded. And I think the results speak for themselves with that, and I think that's what I want to see, especially against the Jacksonville State. We're not going to see, how good we truly are. I think the guys that dominate should dominate. The D-line should dominate. If they don't dominate, that's a problem, because they are the best unit on our team, talent-wise, and what they've shown and what we bring back. If they can't dominate Jacksonville State, I mean, I was just watching Iowa State and those guys in the slop fest. We won't be able to beat them. If they can't dominate this team, we're gonna struggle all year. So I think those are the things. The good guys, the dominant teams dominate where you should, and then the young guys, you have talent. I remember, going into that 2017 season, and we had, Bam Moore, freshman. He'd never played. They were big-eyed. Richie Grant, Antoine Collie. A lot of those guys hadn't played before, but we had to lean on them. And I told them after the first drive they were out there, all right, you're not a freshman anymore. It's not going to change much from this. Like, this is football. This is college football. You've done it. You hit somebody. It's going to be like this the rest of the season. The guys are going to be good. The guys are going to be bad, but this is the feeling, so shake it off. The inexperience, it's not an excuse. You know how we played. It's going to change. And I think mentally for them hearing that, you just kind of shake off those jitters. Because when you're always said, oh, you're a rookie, you're a freshman, freshman pains, like, of course, freshmen are going to have pains, and they did throughout that season. But they have to mentally be able to erase it and be like, I've already played. The mistakes I made, I can't just attribute it to me being a freshman anymore. So, or inexperience, I haven't played. Like, those receivers we're talking about, they got to play. I mean, and if they don't, we don't have receivers, so you got to fix it. So,
go ahead, Josh.
Can I be greedy? I want to see like 50-3. Like well,
hold on.
I feel like we're couching everything.
Obviously.
Yeah, but I feel like we're like, oh well, maybe we'll see this and it'll be vanilla, which it probably will be. And want to see, we should overpower the lines. Like I want to be relaxed and hopefully dry from the rain in the third quarter, knowing that it isn't a game, and watching like the third string start on like the second or third series, maybe second. That's what I'd like to see. There's a little piece here and there, but I don't want to have to worry about a game. And I know it's new, and I know you don't know what we're going to pull against them, but we shouldn't have a problem. And it's kind of, it's interesting. It's the first week, lines are lines for Vegas, but I feel like this is easy money. I don't know.
Well,
I don't DM like that.
Well,
It's
I will
supposed
say,
to be. It's definitely supposed to be.
I will say
is.
this. The way that I look at it is I think that you're going to see the starter stay in a little bit longer. Hopefully not what Josh Heupel did with a certain defensive back that got injured.
Yes.
But I do think you'll see them in there a little bit longer because these guys need reps. A lot of them are inexperienced. They haven't played together very long, and this is a game situation. So I think you're going to see them stay in there a little bit longer than they normally would, unless we just completely blow them out by half. I think in our next game, North Carolina A&T or whatever they are, those guys, you'll see our backups in there a little bit sooner, because everybody here has to get reps, especially the quarterback and the wide receivers, because they've been splitting reps amongst the three. And if they've been splitting reps amongst the three, especially with a left-handed quarterback, those receivers have to make adjustments to be able to catch the ball. The ball spins differently when it's a left-handed quarterback. So they're going to need to be able, to adjust to that. So I expect them to play a little bit longer than we normally would in a situation like this. But I don't think that's necessarily any kind of judgment on how they're performing, but more so on us needing to get the reps to move forward. But you're right, Josh. I hope we beat them 115-0, but or 114-0. I don't know.
Cumberland? Is that what you want? Cumberland?
Exactly. Cumberland. Give me Cumberland. All right. That being said, that's a great segue or swivot into our score predictions. No swivot. All we got was Josh's tassel turning there.
Great idea.
So let's talk about score predictions. As a reminder, we do these every single year. We are playing for a plate full of cow. Other words, steak. Whoever, go ahead.
Let's get the rules before week 1 and keep them the whole.
So Roger could change them at week 2 and 3.
Yes, correct. But let's at least get this.
It'll
the
change.
rules. Is it? Is it closest to the number on both sides? Is it the closest distance in between? What is it?
We need to make a decision here.
It is the closest. It is the closest. Well, we made the decision last year. You guys just decided.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Yes, you did. Yeah, 100%. It is close.
I just want to know, can we have a mulligan?
No mulligan. Well, you can because you aren't here every week. But
I know. I'm
You
gonna try
guest
to be
picker.
so what I will
It should
say.
be closest to the pin. Like,
well, what it's always
how?
been has been both scores, right?
Mhm.
Who's closest to our score and who's closest to the other score, right? And what the difference is between the score that actually happened and what we predicted. We total that up, and whoever has the fewest, the smallest difference is the winner. That's how we've played.
so let's get an exact example. All right, so UCF
right, so-
wins.
So UCF
20
scores. UCF. Josh predicts UCF to score 100. Okay, and he predicts Jax to score 20. Right, and so what actually happens is UCF scores 80, so he's 20 off there. Right, and Jacksonville State scores 10, so he's 10 off there. Right, so the total would be 30 for that week. Now, if Trey has a difference of 15, then obviously the higher difference is Josh, and so he loses. That's how we're playing. So it's closest to the score on each side, and whoever the difference wins. So that being said,
One last question.
oh come on, Ben, we've got
No,
our viewers that are trying to.
I think we need a
let's
memorandum.
Go ahead.
What if UCF doesn't
We
win?
need a memorandum of
Correct.
understanding
I
what
agree.
we're doing.
It doesn't matter whether they win or not. We're talking about closest
can-
to the pin here.
You can predict the other way. So, I mean, yeah.
So you don't have to get the result of the game right. You just have to get the closest to the score, no matter if
Correct.
even if you predict a win and they lose, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
Well, I mean, you could do another total for wins and losses. I mean,
Well, we're gonna keep
we're
track.
not going to win them all. Like,
We're gonna
And
keep
actually,
track.
Let's not say that.
Josh and Roger
gonna-
covered a lot.
We're
You
gonna
see.
keep track of those, but that's not the game for the steak. All right. We're losing viewers. I'm watching them drop off while you guys are arguing this. So let's go ahead and get to our score predictions. All right. So Ben, to avoid what we typically do, which is have Ben go after me and then him copy my score, went ahead and put his
Here we
score
go.
into the score prediction. So
We're back.
this week we're good. So Ben said for this week, go ahead and give your prediction, Ben.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Roger. Did you want to read my score prediction? Because I always copy you.
No,
I mean, you might as well read it.
I said it was
I'm just
there.
waiting for you to say it so I can do it. It's so ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. In case I'll remind our viewers from last season, I had to.
this is why I'm here.
putting
This
my
is exactly
watch
why I'm here.
my score prediction because Roger would always accuse me of this, and it's absolutely absurd that I would.
It
actually
goes
follow
back
what
to
you think.
Nightline. It was even before that. It was back to Nightline.
Anyways, so I don't know if I'm still recovering from the Gus Malzahn era, and just not. I'm really tempering my expectations of how many points we're going to score and how we're going to perform in this second Frost debut. But that being said, I predicted that we'd be 42-10 UCF. I started to write down 38-10 UCF, and I changed it to 42-10 because I tried to convince myself that we'd score more points. And honestly, I hope that I'm way behind in the standings for the stake after week 1, because I hope we score 60 or whatever. But by the same token, I am just cautiously optimistic with a 42-10 score. Good guys.
All right. 42-10 UCF. Josh, you were last but not least, but you're second on this list. So go ahead and give us your score prediction for this week.
All right. I can't show you the exact stuff because there's some of my work notes on there. But as soon as Ben said that, you might have seen me both slightly laughing and being annoyed at myself. So here's what I'm thinking. Do I think we get in the 50s? I want to. Do I think we're going to make it close? Yeah. My prediction, also 10. I do believe Jacksonville State is going to score, and it's going to be some flavor of 6 or 10. I think, someone messes up on some coverage and they get some fluke touchdown. But I think we're going to score a little more. I agree with Ben. I think we're going to score a little more, and I put 48-10. That was what I have down on my paper before Ben.
Don't worry, Josh. I believe you. I believe you. Trust me. I believe you. It's not that important.
So he's trying to one up you for the Price is
write
Right.
these in the chat so we can see the running total.
Sure.
Something. Just because I'm going to probably pick somebody else's if I don't.
No, you feel free. Roger,
Whatever you want, AP.
All right. Next, we've got Trey Neal. Trey, our winner last year. Go ahead and give us your score prediction for this week. Trey.
Yeah, so I'm close. I'm gonna go 45-13. I think we are gonna score, and I think I'm with you, Josh. I think there's gonna be something fluky. That something happens. I think we're gonna get up a lot, and you put the young guy in, and then as they look in the backfield and they shouldn't, and then the ball's over their head and I think that's what's gonna happen. I think the offense will look good. So I think we'll score 45. It won't look like, that first year with 2017, but I think it'll look similar to that first game of Frost where we look really good and it's exciting, but, we kind of hide the good stuff. He's going to show a few splash plays and be like, ooh, I remember that. Just kind of bring back that the memories. But I think they're going to hide a lot. So I don't think they're going to, just blow the doors off the score.
All right. Trey's in with a 45-13 UCF win. Alan, you are up next, my friend.
Yeah, I have UCF with the win 35-17.
Wow. Conservative.
Not even covering.
All right. Next, Andrew, you're up. What is your score prediction?
Oh, man. I really like Ben's.
Go for it.
And then Trey's is very close as well. So I'm going to pick somewhere in the middle of those, I think. This is going to sound crazy. 44-12.
You're directed.
Literally, that's the only thing that I can do and not pick what I was gonna do Ben's, but yeah. So it's just, that's in the middle. There's gonna be something weird happen, like Trey, I think, said. There's gonna be something really weird happen. There's probably a safety in there someplace, So
something like 4-4 with like 4 safeties. Is that it? Like something really weird.
I don't know.
Very weird.
All right.
I'm just trying to go.
Hold on. 44-12?
Yeah.
Hey, I was trying to
13. How do you even get 12?
Yeah,
There's a safety involved.
4 field goals?
There's
no.
There's a touchdown. There's a touchdown. There's a 2-point conversion, and there's a safety. There you go. I think that's the way you do it, right?
Rogers, because I won, now he's hedging my bet. That's what it seems like to me.
That would be 2 safeties.
Well, you know what?
2 safeties, is that what it was? 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or just
Missed extra point or something. I don't know.
Well,
I'm
again,
going-
because of our silly
a touchdown, another touchdown, and a missed
Or
extra
a bunch
point.
of field goals.
I
Yeah.
hope it's not. I hope it's
Two
not
missed
4
extra
field
points.
goals though, because that means they actually move the ball on us.
Yeah.
That's true. They could be really long.
Yeah.
Maybe their kicker kicks 70 or something. You never
Wow.
know. That's what Boomer said he could kick, I think.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, I'm going to go. I'm going to be less conservative than all of you. I'm going to say 56-10 UCF.
Okay.
That's sleeping on
So-
Jack State.
Yeah. I'm going to do that, and I'll tell you why, because I think our defense will give our offense more opportunities than we think. They're going to be playing way stronger and way better than we expect. And I think they'll get some turnovers because we're not playing the man or the hands. We're playing the ball when we're playing on defense. So I think we're going to get some turnovers, especially with a quarterback that has a 40% completion ratio. So I think we get more turnovers. I think we're able to score the ball, and I'm going to say 56-10 UCF.
We got to
All
stop
right.
the run.
What's that?
Got to stop the run.
Yeah, got to
With
stop the run.
quarterback. I mean, and who knows who else? The little guys back there. There's probably a little guy.
There's a little guy. There's a little guy on every team.
I mean, and
I know, that's what I'm saying. That there's a little guy on every team, and watch out for that guy.
yeah, I
He gets
understand.
lost
I
in
understand the
Remember
conservative.
there was a
nature.
little one way back in the day, like a really little dude. I think he was SMU maybe, or one of those teams we used to play back in the Conference USA days. I don't know. There was or Tulsa or something. They had this little guy that would get lost behind the line in the back.
I feel like Tulsa is who you're talking about. I just can't can't pull the name because I remember some of those.
He
those
was
Tulsa
short and
games.
stout though. Like, he was just tiny. So
So the opposite of Ben, which is tall and stout, right?
exactly.
I'm not. There's nothing. I have an ironic last name. That's about it. That's all it is. It's the opposite of what I actually am. But I know what Alan's saying though, that we might be sleeping on Jack State. I mean, they were 9-4 going into their bowl game last year, and they lost by 1 point in their bowl game. But I mean, it's they're a team that has I don't know how different their team is from last year. I guess you can't look at last season anymore.
Yeah, let's say.
But that being said, I mean they have some results in the more recent past that were pretty positive. So they're going to come in here and bring it. But obviously, I just think that we're going to overpower them.
Yeah, I think for
Where
me.
did their new head coach come from again?
Well, he was an assistant for a lot of teams. He was a on the 2013 FSU team. He was at Auburn last year. He was
at Auburn last year. Okay.
Yeah, he was at Auburn last year, and then I can't pull it out of my head from the year before. He's been like a assistant and a Jacksonville State for a very long time.
Coordinator guy or defensive?
Yeah,
I just don't know much about him. I was just wondering.
Yeah, he's more on the offensive side. Although at Jacksonville State in the 90s, he was the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator a couple of years after he was offensive coordinator. So he's actually I take that back. Most of the larger programs he's been at, he's been a defensive coordinator. He was this is Charles Kelly we're talking about here. So he was a defensive coordinator during the kind of better years of Florida State in the mid 2010s, where he was a special teams coordinator in 2013 when FSU went undefeated, and then after that he was a defensive coordinator until 2017, which were all relatively.
Using ChatGPT.
No,
he was also.
I just happened to have the Jacksonville State
Ben's going
game notes in front of me.
Yeah, and he was in Colorado in 2023 when Deion Sanders came there too. That's why I couldn't pull out of my head because we've seen him at least conference wise a little bit.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how his team is focused. You know,
I think
been an
he's going to
assistant
end
coach
up
on
being
two
a Rick
national
Frost.
championship teams, so.
Like not, yeah, he's going to probably do well over time in CUSA and then go to a bigger school. He's just been a coordinator for a very long time, so it's really going to be interesting because where do you pull from? You might have to pull from the offensive defensive coordinator film, but he has a pretty interesting background.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years or
Sure.
4 years at Alabama. I mean, national championship there. And
so he's an old guy, right? Like he's an
yeah,
old guy.
he's been around for a while. 93 is when he started coaching.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
All right.
older than me.
Now that we know who he is, I still think
Most
that their
likely.
offense. I still think their offense is not going to be able to produce, and we're gonna our defense is going to generate some turnovers, and whether that's forcing 3 and outs or whether that's picking off a 40% quarterback or whatever, I think that's going to give us more opportunities. I think, although you guys, Vegas seems to think it's a 19-point spread, so you guys might be closer to the pin, and I may be starting from a deficit this year on buying the steak. So let's go ahead and swiv it one more time. Andrew, did you have something to say?
I have a weird question. I wanted to ask Trey this earlier. I'm sorry. I just thought of it. I'm sorry to throw the whole thing off. Do you remember anything that Scott Frost said to you, like in the locker room before the very first game? Before,
You're talking about
like
the
the
first
first Scott
year?
Frost game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember he just said play fast, and you're gonna make mistakes, just do it fast. That was his whole mantra. Was I don't care if you make mistakes, I don't care, how it looks, as long as you do it full speed, we can fix everything else. You can't teach, and that was, I mean, I've talked about it for years now. You can't teach a guy to not be hesitant. That's just something he has to work out of his system. That's not something you can be like, hey, when this happens, you do this. You can see everything unfold. If you hesitate, you have to just get it out. So that's what he harped. I remember that specifically. Just have fun, and if you're gonna do something, do it fast. I don't care if you make a mistake, do it fast. He's like, because if you're right, you're gonna make a splash play. If you're wrong, you still might make a splash play. That's just what happens when you're playing fast football. So
What's your single biggest memory of something that Scott Frost said to you? Like something that really like hit home.
One-on-one or to the team?
Just to you or the team, yeah. What's the number one thing that you remember? Like that he said?
Yeah, I remember before we played USF the second time, or the Cows the second time. He was like, I know it's really personal for a lot of you guys. He's like, but now it's personal for me, because I don't know if you guys remember, like they ran up the score that first year, 2016. And Frost that ate at him all off season. And he's like, this is personal for me. I know a lot. And he was saying, because, back then most of our team was from Florida. I mean, probably 85% of them were from Tampa, Miami, Jacksonville. So they all knew each other. They all played since they were Pop Warner. And he was like, I know it's personal for y'all, but it's personal for me what happened last year. So you're doing this for not just you. You're not doing it just for me. You're doing it for the guys that were disrespected, that year before. That was like the big thing I remember him talking about with the team. And I mean, we were like playing with our hairs on fire early.
Yeah.
No matter, even though they scored a lot.
Yeah.
But just personally for me, it was just
Nice press quote.
Yeah.
Slick Willie's bus.
Yeah. I don't remember. I'd have to think about just because again, I mean, you guys know my relationship with Coach Frost. It was, I mean, I went with him to Nebraska, same thing. It's more than just football. It's so many things he's taught me, just how to approach each situation, even just how to approach dealing with that transition. Just things like that. There was a lot of things he taught me. So I'd have to get back to you on that one. I have to think about it.
That's cool. I was thinking about it earlier, and
yeah, I definitely, that one I know stood out, just that USF game, just because how big it was at the time, and we hadn't beat them in 3 years maybe, and that was to just play in the conference championship. That was, if we lost that game, we don't play in the conference championship, we don't go to the Peach Bowl most likely, and that season doesn't unfold how it does. yeah, I'd have to think about, the personal one. And I'll have it next week.
Well, I hope that Scott Frost is building the culture that he built before.
Yeah,
I mean, he'll never build a culture, I don't think, as great as that, obviously. Yeah. But this is my hope for Scott Frost. And, I mean, it's his first game back. It's the Frost, whatever, the Frost 2 or whatever.
Yeah, it's the second Frost.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But, like, I just really hope that he can do that. From the players that I've watched, I kind of try to judge the way that people – their body language and when they talk about certain things, when they're asked questions, how they look or how excited they get about, answering the question or whatever. And the guys seem to talk a lot about speed, obviously, but they also talk a lot about getting to know and their brothers and all that stuff. Yeah. So I feel that he's really worked hard on that again.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge.
I think that's, just with sports in general, I mean, we're in 2025, about to be 26, in the blink of an eye. Sports across the country has turned into a money game, a money game in some aspect of it. I think the best part of sports is that part you're talking about. It's the relationships you build with your guys. I mean,
100.
I talk about that.
Absolutely.
Like, people ask me.
That's what did it last time too.
Yeah. And people ask me all the time, like, what are you most excited about? Obviously, with Coach Frost being back. And I said, just those guys to possibly be able to experience what I got to, and it wasn't the winning. Of course, the winning's fun, but those relationships, man, I mean, the stories, how much fun we had. And this was even 2016. Like, I still talk to those guys about those days. And, if they can get that, I mean, the wins and losses will come if you can build to that. That's just what happens. And it gets lost when, I care about how much money you make and things like that. And while we had things that people cared about at the time, it wasn't anything to that magnitude or as persistent as it is now. So if they can get that, I mean, they're going to have a blast. And I think that's what he realized, even with his time in Nebraska, it never clicked like that. Like, the guys never were close. And I've told you guys all the time, they were kind of like that in 2018. Like, it wasn't necessarily money, but like the publicity you get for just being a Nebraska football player is like being a professional athlete, because that's all they have. Luckily in Orlando, we have Disney World. You can go place at some beaches and hang out.
There's nothing to do there.
There's nothing to do. So, like, good or bad, you're under the microscope, which can kind of separate you. That 2016, 2017, because people were excited. But, like, we had our own bond from our own struggles. And, even the time with O'Leary and those circumstances, good or bad, we had a bond that couldn't be broken. So if those guys can build off that and feed off that, I mean, it'll be awesome.
So I'll say real quick at the kickoff luncheon, I was lucky enough to sit next to an assistant coach who I'm not going to say who it was just because of what he told me, but I'll say that he was here throughout the whole Gus Malzahn era, and he confirmed to me that it's absolutely night and day how much better the culture is and how much better the relationships are between the players themselves and the players and the coaches together. He said it couldn't be more different than what I've seen over the last however many months since Frost has been here versus what he was around over the last whatever it was 4 or 5 years with Gus. And so that was an amazing confirmation for me. Hearing it from somebody who he just would talk to me a lot about how it has really deteriorated over the last few years, and the culture is back in a big way now. So it's exciting to hear that.
All right. And Scott Frost did talk about that in his presser today too, that his hope, like you said, Andrew, was that the guys would get to experience what 2017 was able to build from a culture and togetherness, etc. So if we do that,
he talks so much about that, and like the players were talking about it too. So like, you know, and we've talked about it with Trey. That's the whole thing. And you know, it's just, I'm looking forward to that. And I hope that all that stuff can happen. Like, obviously it won't be this year, but you know, Scott Frost is back and I'm so excited about that. Like, I'm so
excited. We need to take that old clip that you used to have of the I'm so excited. I'm excited from the Nightline days and play that on here.
I'm in a hotel room, so I don't have access to my stuff.
No drops.
I would have
no drops. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about the schedule for the rest of the season. So we talked about Jack State as ad nauseum. After Jack State, we've got NC-A&T. Then we have UNC. Then we have K-State that was number 17. I don't know what they're going to be after their loss to Iowa State, which was really, really interesting game. Beck looked like the guy that we expected him to be and made a lot of things happen with his feet, which allowed them to break up the defensive effort of K-State. So Iowa State's one to watch. We'll see how that goes.
The conditions had a big part in that game, though.
The first part, yeah.
Not being able to see the field marks and stuff. That's all. That was horrible.
So next we've got Kansas at home for the first time ever. So Andrew,
your game the other day. Did you guys see it?
Yeah.
We saw the score.
Fresno State.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Fresno State, but they're going to be good. I think they're going to be
playing
good.
Jacksonville State.
I know.
Fresno State's more than Jacksonville State.
Expectations aren't the same for Kansas and UCF.
They don't have Mikey Keene anymore.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Whatever. But we'll see. We'll see in a couple weeks.
Then we have Cincinnati, then West Virginia, Baylor, Houston, which should be improved this year, Texas Tech, which should be a fun game. They're currently ranked number 23. We see some of our former players who went there. Oklahoma State again. Hopefully we'll get to space game them again this time around. And then BYU to close out the season. So what ESPN says as far as ESPN FPI, and what was interesting, we've talked a little bit about some of the different indicators, right? There's the analytics, and then there's the talking heads of the media. The talking heads of the media are saying anywhere between 3 and 4 wins. The analytics are a lot of them are saying 5 to 6 wins. ESPN FPI has us as an 89.6% chance at winning against Jack State. North Carolina A&T 99%, UNC 74.5% to win that game. KSU 23.2%. KU 49.7. I'm sure they're giving us the lean because it's home field advantage, but the way statistics work, they usually give 3 points to the home team, so they're actually expecting Kansas to win on a neutral field. Cindy, again, 49.5%, so they're expecting a toss up there. West Virginia, 66.9% winning percentage. I don't know. West Virginia was a tough team last year. I think they're going to be a better team than what most people do, even though it's Rich Rod and a new regime there. West Virginia always seems to be tough. Baylor, 37.8%. Baylor is predicted actually to be in title contention this year. UH, 78.2%. Willie Fritz has that defense humming, and their offense, they brought in a new 5-star quarterback this year. Their offense was their bugaboo. I actually expect that to be a closer game and a harder game. Texas Tech, 38.6% chance of winning. Oklahoma State, 73.4%, and BYU, 27.3%. So wins that they're predicting, 61% or higher. That's 6 wins on the season. And if you put the toss-ups in there, ESPN saying this could be a 7 or 8 win season during the regular season for this team. So it's interesting that they're that high on UCF, but they were also high on UCF under the Gus Malzahn years, and it didn't come to fruition. I think the difference is the coaching and the culture, as we've talked about this year, where we'll pull some of those wins out when it's those 3 to 5, different plays that really sway a game. So I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think for the season? I'm going to go around the horn. What do we think on wins and losses? What's our record this year? So Trey, I'm going to start with you. What do you think our win-loss record is this year?
Yeah, I think we go. I mean, I think we're gonna have a 6-6 season. I think the low I think is 5. I just think because I think there is a lot of talent. I think the high we could get is probably like 7 or 8. It's hard year one, no matter really where you are. I don't know how many. I mean, you guys know the stats and all the history, but like how many teams were 4-8, change coaches and just dominate the next year? I don't know how likely that is in any sport, really. You know, that it's so much turnover from a roster, from a scheme, from the coaches. It's hard, you know, and a lot of the times teams like that don't start clicking until the end of the year, and they probably lost a few games where you're like, man, I wish we could have had that one. I look back at that 2016 season, and we had like 3 off the top of my head. Like we should have won that Maryland game at home, McKenzie's first start. We should have won the Houston game at Houston. We're up 24-3 going into halftime. That was that really good Houston team that was ranked like supposed to go to the playoff. Houston.
Greg Ward.
Yeah, Greg Ward, Ed Oliver. We lost that game, and then Tulsa then the Temple game where we lost with 1 second left. You know, that's 3 wins right there from 6-6 to 9 wins. I mean, who knows how you feel about us going into the next year. So I think that's what happens those first years. Everybody doesn't buy in 100%, no matter what they're telling us. You know, oh, I love Coach Frost, but like again, when it's what we call nut cutting time, and what I harped on as far as the fundamentals, you know, when those fundamentals show who you are in those tight moments, you know, what do you rely on? Do you rely on what your coaches have been harping on you all year, or do you just revert to freestyle and do what you want? You know, sometimes it turns out great. A lot of the times it can turn out bad. So I think 6-6 is where we'll land. And I think that's a good year. You know, my prediction, I don't think Cam Fancher is going to be our quarterback all year, just because I think there's a ceiling. And I think when we start getting into conference play, I've just the history of our conference. I haven't seen guys that won this conference recently that just had average quarterback play, you know, unless they were stacked around the rest of them. And I wouldn't call us stacked around the rest of them. So I think that's my prediction, 6-6. And then the bowl game, however it shakes.
Alan, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually had 6-6 as well. I mean, before listening to some like Brandon recently on a couple of podcasts, and just because he's obviously really plugged into talking to insiders and stuff, and saying that Frost kind of has like a quiet confidence about this team. He's not going to come out and say it and try to, you know, he wants to obviously
temper the expectations.
Yeah, exactly. It's temper expectations, and, you know, obviously doesn't want to under-deliver. So, I mean, you know, I think there's quite a few toss-ups in there. I think our road games are going to be pretty tough. When you talk about having, you know, preseason Texas Tech ranked on the road. I know Kansas State just lost, but preseason ranked, they're on the road in our first conference game. But I feel like the home games are mostly winnable, especially when you talk about like Oklahoma State, who really struggled last year, and then Cincy and Houston, who are both very, very used to. No reason why we can't beat them. So I think there's a lot of winnable games in there. Some things bounce our way. So I'm comfortable with going 6-6. I think that's probably where we'll end up.
All right, Ben.
I just tried to go quickly down the schedule and just mark, kind of a quick prediction to each of them, and that shook out to be 7-5. So I'm basically for the same reasons that that the rest have talked about. I gave one more toss up to UCF. I had us, for instance, I had us losing to Kansas, and I have us beating Cincy. Like that's kind of the difference between the rest. Just kind of go down the line of what ESPN predicted. I didn't look at the percentages when I was doing that. I was just looking at the schedule, but it kind of shook out that way where I had us at 7-5.
Josh.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. I'm going to try to be cautiously optimistic, which is weird for me as a UCF fan since like the late 90s. Usually it's all doom and gloom, or we have the George O'Leary's, 8-5 and 4-8 and 8-5 and 4-8, back and forth, flip flopping. I don't know. I know everyone's like, oh, we're going to have another 4-8 season. we need some things to develop. We need to see a wide receiver be able to catch a ball. Maybe we can do this one more time after the first 2 games on that bye week. But my cautious optimism and hopefulness for the team is at the 7-5. I don't know why. It's probably silly. To ask me in 3 weeks or after UNC, but I'm trying to will it into existence. Perhaps. I don't know.
All right. Andrew, and then I'll wrap up. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with 5 and 7. I just have a feeling that we're almost gonna get there, but not quite. I just remember the first Frost season, and I just feel like it's gonna be like that. We were really close. Well, no, I guess he made a bowl game, right? The first,
against Arkansas State. I was there for that one,
but lost the bowl game. So yeah. I'll stick with that.
Okay.
I just feel like it's going to be kind of like that. Wasn't sure who the quarterback was. He stuck with the guy for the longest time, but he shouldn't have. And all
right,
whatever. That's my guess.
5 and 7 for Andrew. Okay, so to me, I'd say when we started this talking about this during the spring, we all said or everybody was saying like 3-4 wins. My range was between 4 and 6 wins, with 6 being the high side, 4 being the low side. Obviously, I expect us to beat Jacksonville State and North Carolina A&T. I've said all along that I think we beat UNC, so I think that's 3 wins to start the season. I do think we beat Cincinnati. I have a bad feeling about West Virginia. UH is going to be tougher this year. I do think we beat Oklahoma State. I think this team is going to go anywhere between 5 and 7 wins, depending on a few plays in 2 games. And so for me personally, I still think 5 wins is the safe bet. I'm with Andrew on that. This team is coming together, new coaching staff, everything else, which is better than what we all expected at the beginning. But I do think that the ceiling would be winning a bowl game. I do think that if we do get to 7 wins, it'll be through a bowl game. And if we make a bowl game and win a bowl game, that is far exceeding. But we may be seeing, like the first Frost, another bowl season with a potential unfortunate loss in a bowl game. But no matter what, that's better than what we were expecting coming into the spring. And I think we all feel a little bit better about it than we did then. So other than that, do you guys,
Since you said that, though, I'm going to go to 4 and 8 because I didn't want to be the only person that picked 4 and 8, but I'm going to do it.
All right. Andrew has edited himself to 4 and 8.
I picked 13 and 0. Remember? Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah,
all of you should know. I picked 13 and 0 that season.
He did.
Anyway.
All right. So real quick, and we got to blow through this pretty quickly because we've got to make it under 2 hours. So I'm going to ask these questions in one rapid fire. What is a successful season? And which game are you most excited about? Trey, starting with you.
Bowl game is a successful season, just to put a number. And then I'm most excited about the UNC game. Just see Frost back at UCF 1, and then Bill Belichick in a college uniform. I never thought I'd see that, in my life. So those are the 2 things.
Alan?
Yeah, successful season, definitely. Bowl eligibility, showing progress, obviously more wins than last year, and showing we're going in the right direction under Frost, even just some development from some of the younger players, across the board, kind of seeing some of that brotherhood back and the happiness back, and not players quitting after a few games of the season. Into the season would be, I think, all wins. I guess a bad kind of floor type season. I think if we just have even one less win than we did with Malzahn last year, and if we go kind of 3 and 9 this year, I think that would be kind of a failure of a first season. I think he's got to at least match Malzahn's record from last year.
All right, Ben?
I agree with Trey and Alan. I think I'd add to that is what I say a lot is meaningful football towards the end of the season. I think if we're going into that Texas Tech game or even the Oklahoma State game with a chance to make a bowl, and it's exciting at the end of the season, you see the guys really playing hard for that type of goal. I think that to me, that's depending on how they carry through that enthusiasm. I think I'd look at that as a success on the season, regardless of the result in the last couple of games. And then I'd say, what game am I most excited about? I guess probably the West Virginia game because Alan and I went to the West Virginia game up there in the freezing cold, and it was a huge disappointment last season. And them coming back home, I am pretty bullish about that game. I think that it's going to be one that's where we could potentially make a little bit of a statement this season, hopefully for some positive things.
All right, Josh.
I'm pretty much going to yes and most of this. I think UNC is my most intriguing game and looking forward to game. Probably not going to get to any away games this year. But that's, again, Bill Belichick that's going to be fun coming in here. I think disappointment is anything. I even say 4 wins and under is disappointing to me. And yeah, that's yes and everything else. Let's move on.
Andrew, one quick.
So, yeah, I'm going to go with bowl eligibility at least would be a successful season. You don't have to win it. But Kansas obviously being the most exciting game for me for obvious reasons. And I want to see if Scott Frost's offense is humming at that time and Lance Leipold's offenses are humming at that time, it's going to be a shootout. So it would be very exciting.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Kansas by that point is whether they still have their quarterback on his feet or whether he's injured again. So yeah,
hopefully we have somebody behind him.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So for me, I think successful season. I'm going to echo everybody. Anything, if we get to a bowl game, that's a successful season. That's a trajectory up. And if I'm seeing progress, either offensively specifically. Although we've got a new quarterback situation coming in. As far as who I'm most excited to see us play, I think I'm going to go with UNC too because KSU kind of disappointed me. I wanted another shot against those guys. I'm not excited about Cindy, but I want to beat them. So I'm going to say UNC at home with a chance to send Bill Belichick home with a big fat L. That's what I want to see. A lot of people couldn't do it while he was at the Patriots. I want to see him do it against UCF. So that being said, we're going to swiv it again. Just some quick news. I'm going to hold a couple of these things because we're running out of time. SEC 9-game schedule. We'll talk about that later. We also met David Hansen on campus, so that was exciting. Got some stories to tell there. Wednesday, be on the lookout. We do have a big UCF has a board meeting coming up on Wednesday. The only thing on the agenda is a 15-minute donation/agreement meeting, which tells me that we've got some new revenue coming in, and that will be approved rather swiftly. Remember, wear your black T-shirts for this game, and I want to
white. It's supposed to be white,
or I mean, sorry, white T-shirts. White T-shirts. Is what I meant to say.
That's so stupid.
All right, I remember to wear your white T-shirts. And let's go ahead and get the listener love in real quick, and then we're going to fly through the rest of this because we have to keep it under 2 hours. But next week, just for everybody, we're doing our 100th episode, so we'll have Brandon Helwig on and a few other folks. Andrew will be back and a few other folks for next week. All right, so listener love. Shout out to Ryan Roy 8409 commented, "Nice, love the pod. Thank you for watching and supporting us. We do it for you." Next, I want to say we had the new sub that I can see. We had another 6 new subscribers come in this week. TR, shout out to TR. All the rest of you that I didn't get to, welcome to the fam. Also, Darian MB, welcome on Twitter as well. Remember, guys, we do this for you, so please like, subscribe, tell your friends, join us on the show, and be part of the conversation. All right. I'm going to swiv it again to Alan's oxymoronic stat of the week. Alan, what you got for us this week?
All right. Well, it's the season opener, so had to talk a little bit of statistics when it comes to season openers. So look back to 96, our very first D1 season when we were independent. So just a couple, quick stats. UCF has won 9 season openers in a row, which includes multiple wins against the FCS schools, multiple wins against G5 schools, and even one Power 4 win when we played Georgia Tech in the COVID-shortened year. Since 1996, there's been 9 season openers against FCS schools, 8 against Group of 5, surprisingly 11 against Power 4, but only 2 Power 4 openers since 2014, which would be Penn State in Ireland, and then, like I mentioned, Georgia Tech. And then finally, what was that?
We got de novoed.
We got de novoed, absolutely. Then from 2000 to 2005, 5 years in a row there where UCF opened up every game on the road. But since 2006, UCF has only opened up 4 times on the road, and every single other time since 06 has been at home at the Bounce House. And that's what I have.
All right. Thank you, Alan. This will be year number 10 if we can pull off the win. We have won every single home opener since 2016. So Trey was a part of starting that legacy after losing every game in 2015. All right.
He's not here to defend himself.
I know, but I give him a hard time about it every time. That season was so bad, it's making me choke on my water. All right. Yeah. Let's go ahead and swiv it yet again to Josh's sometimes funny fact of the week. Josh, take it away.
So women's soccer is now 4-0 on the season, surpassing the total wins for all of last season. When was the last time the team went 4-0 to start the season?
Ooh. Wasn't that like 06 or something like that? Or
is that your official answer?
Yes.
06. Who else?
Alan,
I know you didn't watch it, so take a guess.
3.
3?
03, 06?
I have 0 clue, so I'm just going to say 2012. I have no.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I think you said years. My bad. I'll say 2014. I don't know.
2014, 2012.
Andrew?
No idea. No clue.
Yeah, close to the pin is Roger. It was 2002 when the team gave up 0 points in 4 straight games against Quinnipiac, George Washington, FAU, and FAU.
That was my freshman season. That was class of 2002, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. So I can also give you the quick update on other UCF sports that Alan doesn't watch since we're tight on time.
All right.
Ready to go?
I'll put Andrew in there too. So you could probably add Andrew to that.
Kill my thunder.
Well, I'm not trying to.
Okay, so as the aforementioned women's soccer team is now 4-0-0 on the season, beating the Cows 4-1 in LSU with a winner from Bershon in the last minute. And like last seconds, there's 11 seconds left in the game to win 2-1 versus LSU. The only game this week is a contest versus the Gators at Donald R. Disney Stadium this Thursday, August 28th at 7 p.m. Men's soccer is 0-2, so the entire opposite of the women's team, but they've lost to higher competition. They lost 1-3 to UNC, who is receiving votes in the top 25, and 1-2 versus number 6 Wake Forest. They get their first home game this Wednesday on August 27th at 7 p.m. at against University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and then UNC Greensboro this Sunday, August 31st at 7 p.m.
And remember, this men's team turned over a lot of their roster this year.
It is, and that's just 2 top 20, basically 2 top 25 losses on the road. I'm not going to fault them too much for that. The UCF volleyball team had an exhibition in the venue on Saturday, and they were against the Cows. They were down 0-2, 2 sets, down 2 sets, and came back to win 3-2. They actually start the season on August 29th at 7 p.m. versus Chattanooga, which is an autograph night, and they play on 2 consecutive home games and 2 consecutive days. On Saturday versus Norfolk State at 4 p.m. and Sunday versus UC Riverside at 1 p.m. Caitlin Felton is sticking around the softball team as a graduate assistant. And last but actually 2 things last. So penultimate, if we want to be erudite, the UCF cross country starts their season in this Friday.
This is a football show and sports show.
Nobody knows that word.
I know what it is, but you shouldn't use it. That's sacrilegious.
What? I got to knock 2 SAT words right on the top. They're playing at the Florida Intercollegiate in Jacksonville, Florida, with the race beginning at 7 p.m. And last but certainly not least, like me, UCF men's golf will play in the Island Resort Collegiate in Harris, Michigan, on Sunday, August 31st, and Monday, September 1st. Back to you, Roger.
Thanks, Josh. I didn't know that you could play cross country. I thought you ran cross country.
You ran
it.
Yeah.
We'll go with it. All right. Final thoughts real quick. Hey, guys, I'm excited. It is football season. It's kicking off. It's happening Thursday. I'm going to be there. You be there. And I think we have hope again. And that's the most exciting part about all of this, right? So Frost coming back, everybody was excited. We didn't know where we were going to where we were going to be. But I think we have hope again. And I think, unfortunately for Gus Malzahn, it didn't work out for a lot of reasons. We've covered that ad nauseum. But I think this season is the season where we look for trajectory. We look for that culture. We look for that strain in this football team to say that is UCF football. That is the chip on the shoulder. That is not the transfer portal and the dollars making it rain. That is not gas station chargers with pictures. And that's what this football team is about. UCF football is getting its identity back. That's what the university has needed, all the way from TMO all the way to every single player that takes the field. Is you need that chip on your shoulder, because that's who we are and that's how we win. So, I'm looking forward to Thursday. I'm looking forward to seeing that grow again. And, I'm excited. So I'll have to get that drop from Andrew so that I can start playing it during the show. Next week is our 100th episode. We're going to share some more content over this week. We're going to have lots of people visiting. Andrew will be back. We may have some other former players that will be back. Terrence Plummer may be making an appearance. Some other few people. Brandon Hellwig will be joining us. So it's going to be a great show to celebrate. Thank you so much for following along, for sharing, for commenting, for putting up with our shenanigans, and supporting everything that we do, because we do it for you. Thank you. Let's go Knights, and
Charge on.
Charge on, baby.
That was great. How do we do
this? Drama of college football is back.
No, it's not.